Raghunath, are you ready for this?
What?
The Wisdom of the Sages trainings that are going on.
Where?
At the Eco Village, the Govardhan Eco Village in India.
Why?
To totally transform your life spiritually.
Who?
You, me, Radha Swami's going to be there. Other great teachers are going to be there. Lots of cool people.
How?
You go to wisdomofthesages.com/events. You find all the information there.
Haribo.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm during our Wisdom of the Sages retreat. This is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host,
Kaustubha Das.
and senior educator at the Bhakti Center.
Kaustubha Das.
Please welcome
Kaustubha Das.
Kaustubha Das. We are here live at Super Soul Farm with a huge posse of retreat goers. We just ended the Bhakti Recovery Retreat. They shifted out. It was a quick changeover. It was like an hour. Everybody had to be out. We were like, get out of here. No, just kidding. We didn't say that. And then a bunch of people showed up this morning, or last night rather, and we're here for our big day today. His Holiness Radha Swami shows up this morning. We're excited for that. And we have a special announcement. Radha Swami is going to do a Q&A for us tomorrow, live. So there's live, meaning on Zoom, and then there's live, meaning you're here live on Zoom. So he will be here live tomorrow. We're really excited about it. How are we going to fit on this screen?
Maybe I'll do it from another room or something. You could be with him.
Aw, that's sweet of you.
Yeah, you take this one, Raghunath.
That's sweet of you. So I'm going to
Just don't take the microphone.
I'm going to keep my hand.
No, because
Stupa's got. He's holding my pinky.
You see, because you're yelling, I got to keep it at a distance. From
That's
you.
not why you're doing it.
That's
You want
exactly
control.
what I'm doing. That's what I'm controlling.
I'm going to help you
That's all right.
with your
Okay.
control issues. I'm here to help. Krishna sent me.
Just let it go. Just let it go.
Anyway, Mara's working the dials today, but she's got a catering thing, so she's working the dials while holding a what do you call those whippers?
Whisk.
A whisk. She's just whisking around the kitchen. Any other announcements? We're having live Q&A day today. I want to also welcome everybody on Facebook. If you're new to this, we do this every day at 6 a.m. and Saturday and Sunday at 8 a.m. So if you'd like to join us live, you can email Mara with the whisk at wisdomofthesages108@gmail.com.
Mara, did you have any announcements?
We have a Bhakti Recovery Group meeting today at 9:30 after the show.
Thank you. Are you going to drop by later on today?
Yes, I'll be there later.
All right. We're all waiting for you, Mara.
Looking forward to it.
All right. So any other thing you want to announce?
No.
Okay. Come hang out with us. Want to announce that? Come hang out with us in India at Radha Swami's Govardhan Eco Village. We're doing a month-long 300-hour Bhakti cultural immersion training starting January 4th. There's still room there, but not a lot. So if you're interested, it's a great way to spend January. That's for sure. Or me and Seth are doing the Kirtan Academy also at the beginning of the month. There's different trainings going on at the same time. And then the Wisdom of the Sages training starts on the 14th. So even if you can sneak away for like a couple weeks or even slightly less, you can come for that. It's going to wind up with the incredible flower festival in Chowpatty, Mumbai, at Radha Swami's temple. And it's really like one of those like life-shifting experience, the whole thing. So if you're interested, go to wisdomofthesages.com and click on
Events?
events.
Events.
It's okay. It's confirmed. It's events. All right. So let's jump right into these questions today. And who are we going to bring on first? Kaustubha?
Whoever you like.
Whoever I like. Well, where's those questions? Oh, how about Eileen from Philly? Eileen from Philly, come on down. You're the next contestant. The price is right. Okay, so come right between us, Eileen. And first of all, before we go to the question, just tell us your story, how you got here, what do you do, and all that. Bring it. There's your face right there. So.
So I'm Eileen from Philadelphia, and I was brought here by the most beautiful soul, Kelly Skinner.
We love her.
I met her in Vermont, right as COVID started, and she introduced me to both of you. So I want to offer you my gratitude for bringing me to Bhakti and to introducing me to this beautiful community.
Oh, thank you.
We have a great community, don't we?
It's beautiful.
Thank you.
Beautiful. And my question actually has to do with association. Coming to Bhakti a little later in life, you have a lot of people in your life. And as you study Prabhupada and his teachings on associating with non-devotees, I've been really looking at my life and who I associate with, and giving association to and taking association from people. And so my question to you both is, when you have really wonderful people in your life that aren't necessarily sharing your path, how does that work into your daily bhakti?
Good
Great
question.
Good question. Good question. Cut them out. No. You want to go first? You want me to go first?
As you like. You want me to start?
You start.
So yeah, there's so many. If we take all of the teachings on bhakti, we call them the bhakti shastras, all the ancient texts on bhakti, you can find a quote almost to kind of justify it. You're going to find, certain quotes you're going to find that are going to sound like they're a little cold, a little bit, I don't know, just colder. And then some of them,
a little heartless,
it could
almost.
sound that way.
Yeah.
The thing is that it's not an advanced, evolved bhakti yogi. They're never going to be cold-hearted. That's like across the board. We can accept that. Right? They're always actually going to be soft-hearted. They're never going to be judgmental. They're going to be compassionate always, right? So we want to get ourselves to that point. Not that we're walking around like saying, you're not qualified to associate with me. You're not qualified to associate. That's not what's going on. But the idea is that we have to recognize that we are vulnerable to the association that we have. It affects us. And to the degree that it affects us, to that degree, we need to be careful. So we need to kind of understand, when I spend time with that person, how does it affect me, right? How am I walking away from that time with them distracted from my path, or is it? You could say there's three possibilities, right? There's like, it's enhancing my ability to walk this path, it's making it easier, or no, it's distracting me, it's making it more difficult, or maybe it's like kind of neutral. Like I can enter into that association. It's not exactly giving me a boost in my spiritual life, but it's not hurting it either. And so the bhakti yogi is going to be careful to kind of like try to understand this. They're going to try to appreciate the good qualities in anyone, see them, recognize them. And if we're associating with people that aren't on our path, hopefully it's within the context of those good qualities, those that they have those qualities that are consistent with our practice. And to the extent that it's not there, we want to be a little careful. We either want to, if sometimes we're forced into those situations and we just want to kind of like, maybe we can uplift it, maybe, or maybe we want to kind of like, there may be people in our life that we just say, you know what, I'm not that we cut them off in a cold way, but we just kind of like steer around that a little bit. I was riding the bus up here yesterday.
Yeah.
And we had
Gonna be good.
No, we had by the way, like riding the Greyhound is like, you realize it is a different world. It's like the bus driver, like first thing, like addresses everyone, like if there's any fights, any altercations on the bus, I'm going to pull it over and you're going to have to get off. And they go through like a whole list.
They have to make that announcement.
Yeah, like it happens every day. And so anyway, she was a great bus driver, but the person, and it was a little bit late. Nothing we could do, right? It wasn't her fault. It wasn't anybody's fault. Or I don't know whose fault it was, but it wasn't the bus driver's fault. She came in, she addressed it. I'm sorry that, that there was a mix up and things are late. We're going to make one stop. We always do that because people need that. And then we're going to move on to the first destination. And this guy was just freaking out the whole time. Like, even as we were pulling over to the guy sitting next to me, I was sitting next to this guy. He was a complainer, and he just had nothing. He kind of like, I think he saw me as like a like a guy that could get into it with.
Well, they want to commiserate with
Yeah.
somebody. Like, yeah, let's complain. It'll be fun.
Yeah, exactly. And he was just, and it had, I could just, from listening to Bhagavatam every day, from hearing Raghu every day, I was just like, there's no value in my joining in this, even though there's a little bit of like social pressure to do it.
Like you appreciated me.
That was an appreciation. and I just, and so I just kind of like, I was friendly to him, but I just did not entertain where he was going. And I was close to saying like, hey, we're going to get there when we're going to get there. And it doesn't matter how long, how much you complain about it here. It's going to, I almost went there.
You didn't.
I didn't, but I just wasn't going to entertain his thing at all. So it's really, it says there's these 3 levels of the bhakti yogi. And on that real beginner's level, it's more that judgmental. I'm not seeing God, or I'm not seeing the good in everyone. And when you get to that middle level, you have very clear discrimination about how this association affects my consciousness, right? And then on the highest level, you're kind of like wide open to everyone, because like nobody's going to drag you down, and you're kind of just feeling love and appreciation for everyone. But we should recognize, it's kind of practical for us to aim for that middle level, right? Which is a combination of like protecting my own consciousness, but also being very, in no way like denigrating anyone else in our own mind. And so your question was, what about wonderful people that aren't devotees? And if they're wonderful, I'm assuming as a bhakti yogi yourself, you're seeing they have good qualities that are harmonious with the practice. They're compassionate, they're kind, they're generous, that's fine. That's not going to be an issue. And that kind of person probably will be able to understand where you're coming from and respect the boundaries that you need to have in your own practice. And maybe they cross those boundaries a little bit without even knowing it, start talking about subjects. And if you're kind of like skilled, there's ways that you can kind of even help them understand that I don't really go there anymore, or I lost interest in that because of this. And they might even be able to catch on to that and appreciate that too. So just some thoughts. Yeah, I want to hear your thoughts.
Good answer. Yeah, she did clarify the point by saying, good people. So you really have to, I know in my own life, I really have to start to notice the persons, places, and things that can be triggers for me to like slip into like notice nouns. That's my, yeah, persons, places. I know where you're going. You were going back to that childhood schoolhouse rock, nouns, person, place, or things. If you're old enough, you know what I'm talking about. But persons, places, or things that can trigger me to act out in some inappropriate behavior that was part of my past, that is no longer part of my present. But because there's people that can drive through Vegas and nothing happens. Then there's other people that drive through Vegas that have to pull over. Oh my God, there's a slot machine in the 7-Eleven. This is crazy. There's some people that can play a slot machine and they'll be like, I lost. That was fun though, and drive away. There's other people who will give everything they have. They will call up people on the phone. Hey, can you Venmo me some money? And because there's certain people that can't handle that place, so we have to know what those weaknesses of heart are in us, and we just have to not go there. And as far as those places go, now as far as people in our life, we have to start to notice is like Kostuba was saying, are these people lifting me up, or are they taking me down? And some people are integrated into your life. You just can't cut them out. You can't cut them out. Even if you want to cut them out, you can't cut them out. They're just part of your life. And therefore we have to be protective of ourselves and our consciousness. We know, like suppose that guy on the bus with you was your roommate or your brother and you lived with him. Like you can't just say, I'm moving out, or you're taking care of a parent and all they do is complain about something. The same complaints have been complained about for 40 years. You have to be able to shield yourself from that without commiserating with that, because their complaining has almost become part of their identity. That's how they communicate with the world. So you have to figure out how to protect yourself like in a protective bubble and give your company without receiving their company, so to speak. And then then you either become annoying to them. You don't have to be annoying. There's a way to do it without being annoying. But when they see you don't want to go there, like Kasuba was saying, they just sort of give up trying to complain to you because you're not going to go back there. And that's like a whole nother art in of itself. But it sounds like the people in your life, Eileen, are, stellar, high vibe people. And if they're giving you something nourishing, then you keep them. But we all have to find that with our own discernment. Who is helping me and who is dragging me down. Thank you. Eileen, everybody. Let's hear it for Eileen. Haribol, good question. Our next contestant.
I just don't want you too loud, too close to the mic.
Okay. All right. I understand. Where's our question? We can talk about this after everybody leaves. Okay, here's the next one. And this is from Sorry. Sorry, come on down, Sorry. From Long Island. Welcome, Sorry. Sorry's quite lovely. What's your story? How'd you get here? You were on the show a few weeks ago with a question.
Yes, I was on the show. I got here through my beautiful soul sister, Danny Kazakowski. She introduced me to Wisdom of the Sages and you guys and Bhakti. And I lost my daughter 3 years ago in a terrible car accident with two of her best friends. It was tragic. They're all gone. And my question is, how do I find joy? How do I find faith? And how do I know that Krishna loves me when I feel like he took my precious daughter from me? I want to believe, but it's hard. And I'm seeking.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for that question. You want to start?
Yeah, I'll start. Thank you for sharing that and being so vulnerable in front of a bunch of people here and in front of 10,000 other people watching this online. And we were really sorry for all the pain. I can't even imagine that pain. In the morning Sangha, Amy Steller brought up another point too that reminded me of this question. Just like she had a tragic year too. Things were like falling apart in personal life. And to top it all off, her house got hit by lightning and destroyed her house. It was just like, sometimes we go through these seasons of almost tragedy. What to speak of that tragedy of losing your daughter. And what I said to her was, we can't prevent these seasons from changing, but we can frame it out. Like, and the Vedic scriptures do that very well. It frames out what is real and what is temporary. And as sort of like almost callous as this sounds, but it's a truth. I own nothing of this world. My little son that looks just like me, like when he came out of the womb, the kid looked like me. Like, that gives you such a strong bond to that kid that it's sort of like, and everyone's like, oh my God, your son, that must be your son. Of course, that's your son. When that happens, it's sort of like the attachment grows stronger. When you watch your daughter grow up and you dress your daughter and you take her to school for the first day, that attachment, that it's a knot, they call it a knot in the heart that ties us to our body and the other bodies of our extended our family, our home, our things of this world. But there's no stronger attachment than our own children. But the truth is, not only do I not own this house or my clothes, right? Ever wash your clothes and oh my God, who put a pair of jeans in the whites and now all the whites are blue? Not only do we not own our stuff, we don't even own these children that look just like us, that we've nurtured, that we've called. They've come into our life to love. But we can't possess. We can love, but we can't possess. And that is a very delicate slack line to cross. How do I love without being attached? And I don't think we're ever supposed to like get over, now I'm over the grief. I don't think that's a reality. But I think if we frame out what we're here in this world to do, we'll start to notice that there's nothing that we can actually control. We were saying in class, like, you know, I feel pretty comfortable here. I'm in my home, have guests over my home. It seems pretty damn stable. It's not stable. We grew up in a sort of stable time in American history. It's unstable. As stable as it seems, it's all a sandcastle. Even Rome, we were saying, even Rome fell. Rome was what, 600 years, 700 years, much longer than our country, right? Rome fell. Rome will fall. Nothing is like this megalithic pyramid that lasts eternally. Not of this world. It's all a giant sandcastle. And the whole damn thing is heartbreaking. And so whether I like it or not, I have to train myself to love and not possess. And sometimes it's just in the knowing that can ease the pain. Just in the knowing and understanding, these kids aren't mine. This house is not mine. This stuff is not mine. This beloved is not mine. All I can do is love. That's all we're set here to do. Can I be a lover in this world of other beings that come into my life, and a lover of God and see God in all of them? And sometimes people come into my life. I've been to, like, Kostuba's been in my life for a long time. Henry's here. He's been in my life for a long time. I don't even know why. We had no plan. Like, 35 years ago, we were like, let's stay in each other's life. Yeah, blood brothers. We wasn't like that. We just sort of like hovered in each other's universe, for 35 years plus. No plan. You're karmically connected to some people, but then all of a sudden something shifts and they're just not in their physical form any longer. All we can do is love. You want to go with this?
Okay. Yeah. Well, actually, building on what you're saying, I appreciate the question, and it's such a heartbreaking thing and a very vulnerable question. And but where Raghunatha's going with this, I find really interesting way. In other words, there's always a half full and half empty thing. You said, why would Krishna take away my daughter? But in other ways, like, no, Krishna gave you your daughter. That's another way to see it. And we feel the pain sometimes very intensely. It's because we need something intense to wake up to the reality. And when we get to that reality, we find there's nothing to fear, and the pain disappears. It's only our illusion that has us in this position where we're so vulnerable to such intense suffering. What Krishna gave you, that gift of your daughter in your life, and you experienced something through that, and then that presence was taken away. You experienced something else, and there's a lesson about life in there that's very deep. And perhaps the lesson in having your daughter was to feel the intensity of that love, to feel love for someone so deep, right, that you'll give anything for them, that you'll give your very life for that person. To feel that, experience that, is a very special experience. It gives you a clue about the meaning of life, who we are, what our purpose is, what we're designed to do, what we're meant for, to love so deeply. But in our illusion, it's limited who we love, right? We love our own daughter, right? But we don't love the daughter next door, right? That's illusion. We're meant, so that love that you're feeling for that one person, somehow we have to get to the point, the enlightened soul, right? That the fully evolved spiritual person, they're feeling love for every living being. The intensity of love that you felt for one person could be felt for every human being, for every animal, even for every tree, every blade of grass. When we're fully evolved through this practice of bhakti, we'll come to the point where we have love for every living being, pure love. And so the experience you had with your daughter, that gave you clues, that gave you an understanding of what that means. And someday you and someday I will understand what it means to be able to love completely, right? And what the bhakti path is teaching us is that there's a root to all of this. It's almost like one leaf fell in love with the other leaf and was ignoring the root of the tree. But if we can connect with the root, we begin to realize we're connected to every leaf, right? So this is the formula that's given to us in bhakti yoga. And everything that we're going through life, every pleasure, every pain, every experience of pain, it can be interpreted and understood. And the clearer that we get, we begin to be able to interpret everything in life, the ups and the downs, in such a way that they're moving us towards that complete love. And there's probably, I would assume that there's nothing more intense that one can feel in this world than what you've had to feel. Let it somehow, try to let it not weaken your faith in Krishna, but what it should do is weaken your faith in the idea that there's enjoyment to be found in this material world. As Raghunath was saying, it's all a sandcastle. It looks like the love of the spiritual world. We taste a little something of what that's like, and then it disappears because this isn't our home. And because our formula is wrong, right? We're not taking shelter where it really is. And when we do take shelter there, you see, we could, there's people on opposite sides of every war that love their family just as much as the people on the other side, but they're trying to kill each other, right? So that love, it's telling us something about our meaning or our purpose in life, but it's not enough. It's giving us a vision to how we're meant to truly love, and we have to expand it. So let that consider that experience that you had, such a special experience, such a special feeling, such a special relationship, as helping you understand that broader spiritual truth. And the pain that you feel, if you can understand it in this context, in one sense, as Raghunath said, maybe the pain doesn't go away in this life, but it becomes something sweeter. It's still always sad, but it's also sweet and very pure and very holy, very special, because it's opening up the door to your complete spiritual evolution. And so it has to be felt in that context. And in one sense, time is necessary usually for this kind of thing, right? I'd imagine you're being able to speak about this now. Probably 3 years ago, you might not have even been able to get up and ask this question, but I would imagine in your life already that the memory of what was intensely painful earlier is still painful, but you're able to operate in the world, and it's going to keep moving. Like the time is going to help with that. It's going to make it easier and easier and easier. The memory is going to become sweeter, sweeter, sweeter. And if you have it, if it's within the bhakti context, it's going to become more meaningful. It's going to become more transformational. It'll help you in your evolution, and then you're going to feel nothing but a deeper sense of gratitude towards your daughter, and a deeper sense of gratitude towards Krishna.
As you were saying that, I love to hear another opinion from it. Thanks for sharing that. I was thinking, like, sometimes these apparent tragedies serve as like a springboard for your own spiritual life. Like, you might not have even thought of yourself as a spiritual person, and if someone was to say, yeah, the material world's a tough place, you're like, well, no, it's not. The material world's a great place. You don't know. I've got great things going on in my life. And sometimes we're intoxicated by our good luck, and we just think, yeah, material world, and there's no impetus necessarily to work on ourselves, because we've sort of like managed the material world. It's almost like sometimes there's what's called functional alcoholics. They're functional in the world. They have a successful business, but they have a weird relationships with their children, with their family, because they're intoxicated all the time. So sometimes when we hit these seasonal bottoms where we just bottom out, they appear as tragedies. 5 years from now, as Kostubis was saying, or 10 years from now, it's not like that grief is not lost, but there could be such a deep appreciation. What was your daughter's name? Cassandra. So it'd be like, Cassandra, thank you, because you changed the trajectory of my life. I did self-inquiry and self-reflection. I asked questions that weren't even on my question list to ask. The why am I here? The what's it all about? These are like important questions that the world is not asking. They're just looking for fun and what's on sale and whoa, it's Black Friday. What? Right? These are deep philosophical questions that everybody needs to embrace. And I thank my father too for dying untimely, because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have asked the questions that I asked. It was a beautiful recipe for me. And I'm grateful. It doesn't mean it didn't hurt and devastate my entire family, but in retrospect now, 35 years later, I'm grateful that it happened as it did. And I know that I have full faith that every move I make towards my spiritual life benefits everybody that loves me, both living and deceased. Thank you. Beautiful. Thank you. Paul, come on down, Paul. Paul from Brooklyn, from Bay Ridge, but living in Manhattan. How are you, my friend?
Bay Ridge, Brooklyn. Great, thanks.
Come on, right. Paul, tell us your story. How'd you end up getting here?
Well, I've been following you guys for a while. Let's see. I think it's, your story has been very interesting to me, and I think it's important for to see people doing this that you can connect and identify with. And you were definitely somebody that I can connect and identify with. Like we ran the same streets in the 80s, and and I think it's very valuable that we're kind of all like a barrel of monkeys. Like I latch onto someone above me, and hopefully I can latch onto someone below me. And
Monkeys, I like
yeah,
sort of about.
Yeah. So my question is, I feel like a lot of people, especially with men, especially with guys who grew up in the city, like quote unquote tough guys that have like been through some stuff. A lot of my friends, they scoff at the enlightenment and wellness and seeking, and I try to talk to them about stuff, but sometimes it's not easy to convey things. And I was curious if you have had like one really valuable lesson that jumped out, like that really stands out in your mind, or a practice or practices that you do on a daily basis that can help you with the basic life on life's terms. Like I had a friend of mine who just got clean at 50, and we started using together in high school. I got clean 15 years ago. And he said to me, I wish I used like you, because you were pushed to the point where you had to change and you had to do something to change your life. He said, I really didn't, like I used just a little bit over time, and I kind of maintained everything like that functional alcoholic you were talking about. And, so I was pushed to a spiritual change, and luckily I had that spiritual change. But a lot of people aren't pushed to that, and they just kind of maintain in this noise and these doldrums of pain all the time. And is there any one thing that you can do on a daily basis that can help snap them out of it?
Great question.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
You want to start? You go.
Yeah. One thing that you said that was really, that resonated loudly with me was, hey, I'm trying to talk to my old friends, and they're sort of not interested in anything I have to say,
Just one question. I want to clarify. Is it a question for the person or for yourself? Or is there a question, a recommendation for a person that you're trying to help understand this, or is it a...
For everyone that may need it,
Gotcha. Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt. I just wanted.
It's okay.
Yeah.
What can we do? What's a little simple practice for people in the real world? We're not monastic. We're not living in an ashram, not in a cave, not walking the barefoot in India. Great question. Completely relevant. So when you're speaking, and it goes back to our first question, is when we're speaking to a bunch of guys, you know, who are a bunch of thugs or users or whatever, and we're trying to like, hey, what do you think about enlightenment and wellness? Yeah, what do you think about organic figs? What do you know, it's like, they're just like, what are you talking about? And the thing is, they may not get, you might find somebody who's like, yeah, wellness, yeah, movement, breath work, you know, you might find that and you might not. And so what happens is you search out people. That desire to want to talk that talk is going to make you find people who do want to talk like that. And that higher vibe talking is going to take you out of that community to a different circle of friends. And that's just what we need. We need to be lifted up by a different community if our community is not lifting us. And then it's going to be personal. And I'm going to just give you two things that I do regularly that change me. One is, you know, I have a whole like little morning ritual I do with deity worship. But even if I wasn't to do that, you know, in a traditional Vedic temple, you have pictures of your official gurus, you know, your official gurus. But I like to expand that out, at least mentally. I have pictures of my initiating guru and my guru's guru on my altar. But truthfully, it was a village that sort of like raised me in spiritual life. There was many people, both official and unofficial, very unofficial, some of them, that I like to look back at my life and give thanks to on a regular basis. And in that mood of appreciating how people have touched my heart or what people have done for me, I become very grateful. And then I start to realize, like, this sounds very cliche, but I'm blessed. Like, people have been sent to me to lift me higher. And this person really changed me. And that person really changed me. And that person touched my heart. That person extended a hand. And that means a lot to me. And that's made me what I am today. So in that gratitude, it's just a great way to start a day. You're not going to be sad if you're walking around in gratitude. Instead of the world of like you're a busmate where you just want to blame. How happy can you be in a world of blaming and criticism? So that's the first thing. I go through a list of gratitudes every morning of people. Thank you. You touched my heart. Thank you. Thank you. And I reflect on those people. And sometimes I'll journal about those people. And then, of course, is the connection with mantra. And the connection with mantra, we have everybody on Zoom. You do one round of japa malas. And you chant the Maha Mantra on the mala. But the mood of that chanting is calling God into your life, calling divinity in your life, calling God and posing the question, what would you like for me? I've done stuff for my spouse. I've done stuff for my kids. I've done stuff for the government. I've done stuff for the army. I've done stuff for my professor. I've been doing stuff my whole life. What do you want from me? That's a big question. You know, sometimes we even get to this point where we're like, all right, I'm going to do what I want to do. I'm sick of what you want. We're past that. What do you want from me, God, in this short time that I'm here? What would you like for me to do? So when I'm chanting, I'm meditating like that. How do you want to move me today? You know? So I think the mantras and the appreciation are two things. And generally, once you start doing that, you want to read a little. You want to add some reading to your life too, even if it's 5 minutes. And those are practical. You don't have to be in an ashram. You could be anywhere, but you create a little sacred time, a little sacred space where those things go on. Prabhu, what do you do?
First of all, I'm wondering, what do you do for the government?
What I do for the government? I was just saying in general, some people.
Just kidding. What do you do for the government?
Don't do anything for the army either, or a professor.
I once heard one person that I really admire. He was giving a presentation. It was like 3 things that you could. He was kind of framing it almost like you hear these self-help kind of talks. You know, like 3 things that will drastically change your life. You know, and you hear that kind of thing, and it sounds like, okay, well, it's kind of hype, but okay, let's hear what he's got to say. And the first one was read 1 chapter of the Bhagavad Gita every day. And when I thought about it, I said, actually, there's absolutely zero hype. It's actually a fact that if you set aside the time, and when I say a chapter, you don't have to read all the commentaries or anything like that. You can just read the verses.
Go through
Yeah.
the verses. It's quick.
It's quick.
Sometimes there's some chapters of 20 verses.
Yes. It doesn't take a lot of time. But the fact is, I have complete faith in this, that if you read one chapter of Bhagavad Gita every day, it means like you're reading it practically twice a month, nearly. I mean, almost, you know,
Reading the whole thing twice.
reading the whole
Yeah.
Bhagavad Gita.
Yeah.
So that means you're probably reading the Bhagavad Gita about, like, I don't know, 10 times in a year or something like that. Or no, more actually, more like 20 times in a year.
I think I like your answer better.
Well, no, your answer is great. They're connected because you're saying you have to set aside some time, and you got to do it every day. This is the key, right? It's got to be like, it doesn't stick. Practice means that you do something with the right devotion or dedication over a long period of time and like really regularly. So you make it daily. And if you read a chapter of Bhagavad Gita every day, even if you don't fully understand it, it gets you thinking, it gets you questioning, you know? But that I have complete faith. It's one really simple way, because that's the book. Just clear, simple instructions about life and, you know, how to live it, how to work in this world, how to look at this world and move through this world. Bhagavad Gita is so clear on these things. So even though it may be a little mysterious in some of the verses, you might not be able to put together, and so on, then you have questions. But if you do that, it's going to upgrade the thinking process in a big way. And it's just a really simple, easy way to switch the channel from, you know, material static to real clear spiritual instruction. And so that's one idea. I mean, there's so many, but I think that's a really practical one that a lot of people can grab onto, and it can have a really good effect.
I like that. I'm going to just spin off of his too.
You don't one up me?
I'm going to one up you. Yes. Good bridesmaid you. It's one of those things, like Kosuba was mentioning, you might not even get what it's saying. It's sort of like a child plays with an acorn. It's like just like a little marble for a child, but there's the potentiality of a massive oak tree within that acorn. But it just takes what?
No, that's a good point.
So it just needs appropriate cultivation. And so the cultivation of hearing the Bhagavad Gita on a regular basis, the whole thing starts to blossom and sprout and take root in your life. And from that high vibe, it's a few moments, 10 minutes, it's going to take you to read a chapter. From that sacrifice, it's a sacrifice of your time and energy, which could be reading anything, the back of a cereal box, whatever people read. From that sacrifice it's going to open more doors to more questions. From that, right? You take one exit on the highway, and then that's going to lead you to other exits and other exits and other exits. So by adding spirit to your life, you are slowly, in small doses, start to change in the long term, over 5 years, over 10 years, right? A flight is going from New York to LA. If you're 5 degrees off, you're going to end up in Seattle. You know, it's just, we make little changes, and down the line, that makes massive changes. I like your answer.
Krishna says, this is chapter 18, text 70. And I declare that one who studies the sacred conversation of ours worships me by their intelligence. It's
Krishna said it.
Yeah.
You're thinking like Krishna now.
Okay, I'm trying. Thank you for the question. That was a good one.
All right, carrying on. Carry on my wayward son.
That's why I keep the mic.
You are done. Lay your sleepy head to rest. Don't you cry, don't you cry.
Don't encourage him, people. Do not encourage him. All right. There's a question.
Okay, sorry about that. I got a lot of noise in this head, don't I? Squirrel. Okay, this is oh, look, a little squirrel. People send me squirrels in the mail. People send me squirrel t-shirts, little squirrel statues. I was with Henry, driving around with Henry yesterday. He's like, every time I drive by, I see a squirrel, I think of you. Okay, let's get the pious golfer here. The pious golfer, Rich Mancuso. Mancuso.
Mancuso.
Mancuso.
Is he here? There he goes.
There he is. Come on. He's in the bleachers back there. Come on down. All right. Tell your story, my friend.
My story?
He golfs. He's a boxer.
I golf. I'm a bhakta. I guess I was asking earlier because I was piggybacking.
What's
on
your
some-
story? What's your story?
Wants to hear your life story.
No. How'd you get here?
I used to go to Pure Yoga, and you taught there,
Okay.
and you sung, and you got me into kirtan. And then one of your students said, "There's a kirtan down at the Bhakti Center." And then I went down to the Bhakti Center, and they were doing kirtan for 6 hours, and I was like, "Holy cow, this is awesome!" And
Wow. And do you go to the Bhakti Center now?
I do.
All right.
Kastupa can attest.
Regular to Thursday night kirtan.
I am, but I'm out at 9, so
I get it. They go late. Those kirtan guys go late, but
he
It-
stays late. I don't know how you stay late.
Not so late. No, I go back early now. I used to stay out late.
it's that's a pretty amazing Thursday night, isn't it?
Those guys are great. I mean, and the gals, everyone. I'm always so, yeah, it's just crazy. It's great. And it keeps on getting
World
better.
class kirtan.
Yeah, you always say that,
Yeah,
but I don't know
world-class.
anything else.
Oh, okay. I've been all around the world. I've seen it. These guys are tops.
They're the best. Yeah.
Yeah, I only know Ragu's kirtan. So.
Yeah. I'm like a child. These guys are like Mozart. Yeah.
Yeah, but you're like an innocent child.
Okay.
Okay. Question time.
Yeah, my question. I was piggybacking someone else's question, and it was about how we receive love, and if there's some kind of I don't know, like just because so many times we're all in bhakti we're all about service, and everyone wants to serve, and everyone's like, "No, Prabhu, you're the best, and you're awesome," and we were talking about this in our sage group the other day, and it came up of like how do you receive it? How can you just do it gracefully and but also like receive it not only gracefully but not falsely, like so you can take it in and say like, yeah, I do love myself, because a lot of that stuff is all right. So what I'm kind of coming to in my own personal journey is like self-love's a big deal, and it's a hard thing to kind of once you figure it out, it seems like other things just fall into place. But,
So, and when you say love, you also mean things like praise and that kind of thing too.
Validation.
Validation.
yeah, like people do that all the time, like they'll say great things to you or about so
Especially with a guy as great as you.
Yeah. Very good. Very good. Thank you.
Like, how do I take this? What do I do with that?
No, Prabhu. This is what usually happens. No, Prabhu. You are great. You're great. You're the best.
Okay. Thank you. Very nice question.
Great question.
Do you want to start?
Oh, yeah, pious golfer. Look at my dogs here. We do live in a world where we pendulum back and forth between I'm the best and I'm the worst. It's like in our sort of brokenness, where perhaps we didn't get an appropriate amount of love or validation as a child when we really needed it most, or someone who was supposed to be a pillar of love completely was absent in my life, took off, left me with my mom. Now I'm supposed to be the caregiver of my mom, and there's no father figure in my life or whatever. This is an epidemic in our culture from broken families. And therefore we have to like defend ourselves and dig in our heels. Like, I am worth it. I am worth it. And we get around you. You are worth it, Kostuba. You are. But it's deeper than that. That confidence doesn't necessarily help us, because there's a feeling deep down that I am not worth it. And things like this, of course, whenever there's trauma, it's good to get both spiritual guidance, psychiatric guidance, and this idea of worth in the bhakti culture is we are spiritual beings. This is the framework. I'm just going to spell it out. We're spiritual beings, and therefore we are born with inherent worth. Why? Because we're part of God. And then, of course, without fully getting that, if I feel like I have no worth, then I try to start to find validation in the material world. And that takes me on a real wild goose chase. And I'll do anything to get noticed, anything to get validation, and we start looking for that in a less than noble way. And so we get our real worth by our worthy activities. That's why there's a concept of dharma. In the West, we can call that integrity. When I live with integrity, I will have worth. I can't expect to cheat, to steal, to take drugs, to let my, to have no control of my what I consume, and to expect myself to have a feeling of worthiness. So we're trying to zip it up here on this path. We're trying to zip up control of the senses, control of the minds. And that starts to assist us on a path of self-love. Self-love just doesn't mean I went to the spa, I took a hot bath. That's not just self-love means I act appropriately. I don't cheat, I don't steal, I eat healthy, I take care of my body. I treat people with dignity. I treat other people. I'm careful for the feelings of other people. I don't criticize people on a regular basis. That's also self-love. And as far as the receiving of praise, we're not hound dogs snooping out validation. In a bhakti, when I do find that balance, then truthfully, I have nothing but appreciation for people. You see something good in me? Thank you. I know what I was like before I met spiritual teachers. It's really by the mercy of my teachers that you're liking what I have. Because for me, I was using all my good qualities to manipulate other people or for my ego. And that's sort of like the revelation we get on a spiritual path. Like everything cool about me, whether I'm a great singer or a good dancer or a great entertainer or, good with whatever I have good, sexy, appealing, I've been using to manipulate other people to strengthen my ego. And then when I met a bhakti teacher, they taught me, take all your good qualities and offer them back to God. And that's why we can honestly say, if we're actually not falsely humble, but truly honest. Real humility is a type of deep honesty. By the mercy of the teachers in my life, I have what I have. So thank you for praising me, but I don't want it to stick. I'll receive it, but I'm going to pass it on. And that doesn't mean because I hate myself. It means that because I'm balanced and I'm being truthful. So you can receive praise, but we pass it on. If I hold on to it, the ego starts, yeah, that's right. Finally, it's about time people start to realize how powerful I am, how wise and deep I am. What do you think, Kostuba?
No, I like that. I think in the same vein, I thought the answer, like, how do you gracefully accept whether love or validation or appreciation or praise? You do it like a mailman, right? And we have a mailman here. We got Steve here, right? So it's kind of
mailman.
Yeah.
That's right. We got to start a devotee community of devotee mailmen. I know a few.
Yeah, I do too.
You do too?
Yeah. So
UPS. We got UPS over here. It's like maybe we should get these guys together for a Throwdown Thursday. It's the U.S. mail versus UPS.
But the mailman, he delivers, right? In one sense, he plays his role, right? That role is to take one package from point A to point B. He delivers it. And when he delivers it to a person, the person may be very grateful. Like whatever you're delivering that day, say it's like a $10,000 check that this person was desperate to have so that they can have heat in their home this winter, or something that they needed very badly, that they're hoping to get, that they're waiting to get. And then the mailman shows up and says, here you go. And then the person says, thank you so much. I've been waiting for this and you brought it to me. I'm so grateful. And the mailman said, well, I'm just doing my job, right? I didn't create this money. I just delivered it to you. And that's just the role that I play. And so in one sense, that's kind of what we're all doing in this world. Like we're meant to try to understand what is my role, and we play it. And if someone has like something to thank, well, whatever I delivered to you, I didn't create it, right? It came, ultimately it's God's glory, And so just like the old song goes, remember that one? Rise and shine.
Rise and shine and give God your glory, glory. Rise and shine and give God.
What am I doing? I'm setting myself up here. So the mailman, he can.
You set me up for these.
Yeah, I did on that one. but like I think even Srila Prabhupada spoke about that when he used this term a postal peon, like that, right? Like a postal peon, and to us that sounds like, oh, what about my self-love? Am I just a peon? But no, I'm happy to play my role. We all our insecurity and all why self-love is even a topic is because we feel insecure, and we feel insecure because of our fears, right? And with fears that are unfounded, that have no truth in them, right? That fears that we experience only because we're incapable of zooming out and seeing the whole situation. That, and you were hitting on this earlier this week. I think you phrased something I really liked. You said something like, simultaneously we have to understand our own tininess, and our own, I don't forget what you said, but almost like our own kind
Significance.
of significance. Thank you. Or I was thinking even like glory, you could
There's
say.
like whipping stuff there.
Thank you,
What are
man.
the takeaways?
Yeah, significance, or let's say even glory, right? Like the glory of the soul is that it's the spark of eternal. There's nothing you can do to destroy this spark. You can't cut it in half. You can't crush it. You can't grind it down. It's eternal, and it's as brilliant as the sun. It's like bright and shining, and that's what we all are. And not only that, but we're very dear to the most attractive being in all existence, right? Like that's yeah, every one of us has that.
And we forget that. If people haven't been
yeah.
kind to us, we just think no one cares about me.
Yeah.
Who would care about me?
Yeah.
You were actually no matter what you went through, you were very dear to Krishna.
And so we're sitting here kind of like jockeying for position and like struggling to kind of be but we're trying to get in that place where we're going to feel the validation that we need to feel like I am worthy, or I am special. No, every living being has that. The problem is we think we need to get in front of someone else to actually experience it. And so we got the equation wrong. You know, we got the equation wrong. That if we could just realize the truth, we just relax, right? And begin to deepen that connection that we have with God. There's no question about self-esteem issues or anything like that. You know, that all of that self-esteem issue. If someone needs it because like if someone is in need of it, it's due to their ignorance, and we might have to address that and speak to people in such a way, or give them, what do they call it? Those little sayings that you tell to yourself, self-affirmations and so on. Like, okay, there might be a need for those in certain situations, but for someone who's saying the truth, actually, there's no need for that at all, right? Because you realize that I'm sitting on the most solid ground. It's the spiritual realm is the realm of eternity. It's the realm where there is no force of time that's the cause of destruction for the foundation that I'm sitting on. We just need to realize that. So when we go through this world, if we're receiving praise, it says like the Vaishnavas, they're not interested in that at all. They have no need for that. They really would prefer to go to God. And just like if you're here and your children are here, someone could come up and say, hey, you're a great guy, Raghunath. But if someone said it about your child, you're actually going to feel you get more pleasure from that, right? It's like you don't need it on you. You would rather go to the one that you love. And when it goes to the one that you love, you feel even better. And so the Vaishnava, they can feel like they're saying this about me, but I actually feel better when it's going to God. It's that's who I love. And really, in truth, that's anything that I'm providing is coming from God. So they have a way of kind of like it could be done artificially on the external level, but it can also be done like from a place of complete truth. Like you go to some Vaishnava, you say, "Thank you so much. You are the greatest." Oh no, not me, you. You know, it's like and they kind of it becomes kind of like their natural
default.
Yeah, and it's not that we have to artificially adopt that kind of wordplay or whatever.
Hey, you know what?
Yeah.
It's better than just being a sarcastic, snarky,
exactly.
what we've created in our culture. Hey, you got a big head. Oh, yeah, you got big ears. You know, we just go back and forth like that for an hour. I'd much rather see people go, by your mercy, by your mercy, by your mercy. I'd much rather be in that room.
Right. So what I'm saying is it's not like if you don't do that, you're wrong.
Right.
But what I'm saying, but you might naturally do that, or you might feel comfortable doing that. So, but in however you deal with it externally, we know we're advancing spiritually when we don't feel the need to be praised. We don't feel the need to be validated because we're secure, right? That's where we're going. So in whatever it is, think of yourself as a postman, right? Okay, they're praising me, but I'm just doing my job. I'm just delivering in my own simple little way what I'm meant to do. And it the post, it doesn't kind of like affect their ego when someone says, oh, thank you for this. You know, it's just that they know I'm just doing my job. We need to know that, right? We need to know. If someone is being really kind, it's not like we're blowing them off. It's like, oh, you know, that's so kind of you to say. You know, that's so kind of you to say.
You know what's a good answer is you. I guess just that. I always, if someone says something nice, I just say, "You're so kind."
Yeah.
Meaning they're yeah, you're turning it back.
You're accepting it in one sense, like, oh, you know.
I'm accepting it, but it means I say you're being so gracious with that. By saying, yeah, it's like volleyball of praise. Yeah, by your mercy, will you? We're 9:05. You know, with all these people here, we just want to go on forever. Thank you, Pious Golfer. Tomorrow, live. Tomorrow, live with Radha Swami.
Wow.
Does it get better than that?
It's been over 2 years since we've had Radha Swami on the show.
Oh, my God. It's over 2 years. Well, we're excited to have him back with us for lunch, with us for tonight. Thanks for everybody joining us live. Spin that thing around, Kostuba. Look at all these beautiful people. Say hello. Yes. Let's get this party started. Come on. Thanks to everybody joining us. If you're listening to us on Facebook, you can find us on YouTube or everywhere that you get podcasts. Just search for Wisdom of the Sages. If you go to Facebook, if you go to YouTube, you can click that subscribe, follow us, leave comments, or go to Apple Podcasts today and leave a comment. Tell us how you got here and tell us why you like the show and give us a 5-star review, all stuff like that. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. Mara, I know you're working. Thanks for doing what you do, Mara. We'll see you later this afternoon.